Hello and welcome everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll take that as a no then. Well, good morning and welcome to this CHSA presentation. It's a very important business matter. Whilst we've got COP26 going on up in Glasgow, no doubt there'll be some lofty ambitions coming out of there. All of the business leaders, all the world leaders will be expecting business leaders to translate their ideas and their approaches into real life, real time, effective solutions to try and keep that global warming to below that 1.5 degrees. The cleaning industry and the cleaning and hygiene industry together must do their bit, and it's a very complex area, and that's why the CHSA have designed and developed this roadmap to sustainability. What does a sustainable business look like? What are the sustainable products and services? How do we assess one product or service over another? Do we know the whole life cycle impact on the environment? Do we choose recycled over virgin materials, local delivery and expertise over the internet? Can we have energy efficiency and supply chain efficiency? Tenderers are increasingly specifying green products, sustainable products, and encouraging claims of sustainability, which in time is encouraging greenwash. Is it a box-ticking exercise for many, or a serious attempt to delve into what is really, truly sustainable and what will deliver environmental benefits for all? And in the real world, there are some commercial pressures too. The cleaning and janitorial and hygiene sector has been extremely competitive, with downward pressure always, driven by customer demands. Right now, everyone's battling price increases. The manufacturing and distribution of cleaning and hygiene products needs innovation, and innovation alone won't solve the problems. We need to take a look at the innovation showcase of the CSA here at the show later on. It can't just be innovation for change's sake or innovation's sake. It must deliver some the cost benefits and now importantly environmental benefits too. So as individual businesses, it's not easy to, in spite of good intentions, to make the necessary changes and make the resources available. Many businesses don't have resources. There are knowledge gaps and expertise gaps, and this applies across the industry, whether it's large companies or small companies. For sure, we can expect more regulation in this area. With increasing demands on management time, we'll be taking more focus away from growing our businesses and day-to-day business. So with the CHSA, we have close on 200 members, both manufacturers and distributors, and within that membership, great depth and breadth of knowledge and expertise. By gathering information and sharing best practice from those members, we aim to pool the resources and help each other fill the gaps so the whole industry moves together. So working with a representative cross-section of members, the CHSA Sustainability Group has been formed, and we've defined 5 pillars of sustainability. The first, the product itself. Second, packaging, transportation, social value and ethics. And the 5th pillar, the environmental impact of the whole corporate approach to emissions, waste and water. I'm sorry, that sounds like 3 rolled into one there, but that's how we got it into 5 pillars. We're delighted also to be working in collaboration with the CSSA, the Cleaning and Support Services Association, to develop this programme for all businesses, from manufacturers, through distributors to end users. So sticking on the pillar 1, we're looking at, this is the product itself as it's received and used by the end user or the customer. The first principle is to use less raw materials, to stretch the resource that is the raw material as far as we possibly can. The second is to reduce the amount of waste, both in the manufacturing process and at the end of the product life. And the third principle in this pillar is to increase recycling and recyclability, keeping the valuable resource of the materials within the economy, and that's moving towards the circular economy. Beg your pardon. Back to the second pillar, packaging. Now this is the packaging of the product itself and of all the packaging used to deliver that product all the way through the supply chain to the end users. It includes, of course, the transit packaging and any repacking carried out by distributors to facilitate last mile delivery to the end user. And the packaging should be minimal, and it should be recyclable, not just recyclable, but also easy to recycle. I'm sorry about this. I'm light-fingered. Collaborative working between manufacturers and distributors and end users may yield ideas for reduction of packaging, and maybe even look at reusable and returnable packaging, while still facilitating the mix of products and the quantities required by the users. Third pillar, transportation. This again is transportation of the product throughout its whole life cycle and supply chain. We're looking at the design of the product to maximise the volume and weight available for transporting that product, to get as much of it as we can onto vehicles, reduce the vehicle movements and delivery miles. And this needs collaboration with supply partners and logistics partners. And we need to understand questions to ask those suppliers about what steps are being taken. For example, how to optimise those loads and delivery routes. What about fleet emissions? Are there opportunities for electrification? All working towards a reduction of delivery miles. I think the important thing here is for your business to ask the question of your logistics suppliers, and what not just what they can do, but what can you do to work together to help in that. The fourth pillar is about social and ethical values. And these include, on the social values, we're looking at mental well-being, personal development strategies, training, corporate and social responsibility strategies such as modern slavery, involvement with local communities, an ethical approach to business in general, which could include, or should include, not just payment to your suppliers to terms, but also the expectation that your customers should be paying you to terms. And also sourcing strategies, supplier approval techniques and procedures. These values and policies need to be embodied throughout the business and its employees and all the dealings between customers and suppliers. The final fifth pillar is the total overall impact on the environment due to the corporate approach to emissions, water and waste. Waste management partners have data, and that they can help in reducing waste and helping to increase recycling rates. For emissions, we'll be looking at scope 1, 2 and 3. Scope 1 being the direct emissions from your business. Scope 2, indirect emissions caused by, for example, the energy that you buy, electricity. And scope 3 are all other indirect emissions throughout the value chain. So that's looking up to your suppliers and down to your end users. It's complex and difficult to evaluate this information. The first step will be to help members understand the issues, provide templates and help with practical approaches to help them address these and understand them properly. Water is the third element of Pillar 5. And again, the first step will be to assess the actual usage. Is it grey water or drinking water? Analyse any spillage or leakage and look at the quality of the discharged water. So to make progress, we need to find out where we are at the moment across the industry. And we did some detailed research starting with the survey to members, and we'll go through these survey results now. It does highlight the complexity and the wide variation in terms of readiness and capacity to improve. And the common theme across all members is the difficulty of influencing others, customers and suppliers, particularly customers, I fear. Price pressure through competition is a given. Fair comparison around sustainability claims is even more crucial for the whole industry to work together to maintain a level playing field. We're delighted to welcome the Cleaning and Support Services Association into this initiative, because then we have not just manufacturers and distributors, we also have end users all singing from the same hymn sheet. So the results for the survey on the first pillar: this is the product as it's received, disposed of and used by the end user. Now, virtually everyone said that disposal of the product at the end of its life was in the hands of the customer, the consumer. Only 12% said there was a take-back scheme or closed-loop scheme to take the product back. The majority of members select raw materials with environmental impact in mind, and 88% are able to trace those back through chain of custody, traceability. The good news is that most say they have a clear strategy for achieving sustainability goals relating to their products. And that's to be expected, because we would know our products, wouldn't we? This is our field of expertise. The takeaway here from this slide is that members are taking control where they can, where they're able to, where they can exert influence, and that's mainly upwards to suppliers. Where they have less influence is with customers, and that might be because of commercial pressures, competition, and this is where we aim to help. Moving on to the second pillar, packaging. Again, relating to the packaging of the product throughout the supply chain. So 2/3 of members provide information on whether or how their packaging may be reused, disposed of, recycled. The problem here is that the label space is short. The real estate on product is at a premium, and it's mainly dictated by brands and user information. It's not always readily available at the end user end, especially with transit packaging. So just under half of the members have tried to understand what happens to packaging at the end of its life. And a fifth already operate closed loop take-back scheme for the packaging that they put on the market. And a third have plans to introduce one. Recycled materials are already widely used across the membership, more than 3/4 specifying recycled materials, but the content varies. We expect to see this increasing, especially in the plastic sector, with the introduction of the plastic packaging tax in April next year. On this pillar, 2/3 of the members have a clear view of how they're going to reach their sustainability goals. I'm not quite sure that marries with the information that we've got from individual members. Pillar 3 is about transportation, again covering this whole supply chain, from the sourcing of the raw materials to the delivery to the end user. Most members are using road and ocean freight, perhaps a sign of the reliance of manufacturers on raw materials, imports and finished products for distributors. Half the members have said that environmental performance influenced their choice of logistics partners. A third monitor supply performance on environmental metrics. And 2/3 of members have got a clear idea of how they're going to achieve their sustainability goals. Moving on to social values and ethics. As you'd expect, all members recognise and adhere to the legislation and of policies covering equal opportunities, diversity, inclusivity, data protection, privacy, GDPR and all that sort of thing. 85% are living wage employers and have development and training programmes for employees. There's room for improvement on the wellness front, however, with just over half running formal wellness initiatives, which include mental health, first aiders, sabbaticals, stress management. Coincidentally, the same percentage, 58%, also have employee engagement programs to foster environmentally sustainable behaviours amongst their employees. And these include things like sustainability weeks, litter picks and beach cleans, appointment of recycling champions, carpooling and cycle to work schemes. Some members include these as objectives for some employees, and 27% of the membership say they include these objectives to all employees. An example of that, again in the plastic sector, would be the global initiative for pellet loss prevention, which is called Operation Clean Sweep, which aims to keep pellet swept up, tied up, keeping it in the system rather than allow it to leak out into our rivers and oceans. So the final pillar 5 results was the environmental impact of the business due to its corporate approach on waste, water and emissions. So most members do have an environmental policy and 2/3 have improvement plans in place. Energy being one of the main contributors in this area to carbon footprint and emissions means that electricity from renewable sources is being looked at. Energy efficiency and motion sensitive lighting, solar panels, machinery updates with more efficient motors and processes, and also in that area container optimization, making the maximum use of machine time and efficiencies. About 1/3 are using carbon offsetting. I think this is one to watch in the future in terms of net zero and whether that will be on or off. On water, measures included on-site water treatment plants, digital water meters, and closed-circuit water cooling systems, saving water and increasing machine efficiency. The majority of members segregate and recycle some or all of their waste, and that sometimes is restricted where members are in the hands of the local authorities, where we say limit the materials that they can recycle. It's more successful with private waste management companies. In manufacturing, production waste is being minimised through preventive maintenance plans, reducing the amount of material wastage there. And in the office, digitisation of documents is reducing paper. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that. But, other nice things to have include some biodiversity projects, some worthy of mention, rewilding, bird boxes, wildlife corridors, bee-friendly planting. So despite all the aforementioned programmes, there is still uncertainty for many about the way forward, with just 58% having a clear understanding of how to achieve the sustainability goals. So that concludes the findings from the research survey. The results show the members are working hard to improve sustainability, certainly in Pillar 1, and this is where their expertise is, so we would expect that. The way forward is less clear on all of the other pillars, and I think this is where the scheme is really going to come into its own to help with effective sustainability strategies, goals and objectives. What's clear is that while some members are making progress in some areas, no one is claiming a panacea for all sustainability issues. Now, to tailor support for the members, we asked them to name the top 3 challenges for each pillar. We're in the process of distilling the responses, However, it's already apparent there needs to be a focus on these key areas. Now, some sustainable solution may deliver long-term savings and benefits, but they require significant investment, with prices exceeding the standard industry product. Some investment decisions are being thwarted and delayed, cancelled even due to the uncertainty around future regulation, of which we can expect more. And the plastic tax and EPR, consistency of collections in waste, are such examples. Not that we don't know what's coming, we can see what's coming and we know what it's going to look like. What we don't know is the effect it's going to have on the market for the materials, both virgin and recycled. There's a lack of suitable alternatives in many cases. That's a recurring issue from the survey. And concerns around fitness for purpose. Recycled materials might be desirable, but does it preserve the integrity and efficacy of the product? Or are virgin materials going to be required? We're now forcing decisions which may not be environmentally sound, may have a worse impact. Next day delivery service is sometimes a given in some areas, meaning a larger, more efficient order volume doesn't always work for the customer. And measuring and reporting is difficult and complex. We need to establish clear environmental benefits for one product or service over another. And I mentioned fair play before. It is so important to have genuine credentials for green products. If we're going to call them green and sustainable, they must be green and sustainable with visible credentials. In this respect, the Competitions and Mergers Agency will be enforcing tighter regulation from January next year, so we can expect to see action being taken on misleading environmental claims. So to help our members navigate through all these challenges, the CHSA have developed the roadmap to sustainability. Action plans will include help for the cleaning and hygiene industry to move towards environmentally sustainable future. And it will include webinars on key topics, how to start or participate in take-back or closed-loop systems, establish chain of custody procedures and other supplier approvals, advice and updates on latest legislation, and questions to ask your suppliers. There will be a directory of organisations and other institutions for guidance and support. When is it happening? Well, it's happening now. It's being developed and it will be rolled out early next year. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a badge. It's a practical approach to help all businesses in the cleaning and hygiene industry work together to raise awareness and educate wherever we can in our field of influence. We'll give members and industry the information and insights required to move to a more sustainable future. I think that's the last slide. So thanks for your attention, everyone. There might be time for questions, I'm not sure, maybe 2 minutes. Before that, thanks to Kathy Conan, who put these slides together. I'm just the messenger. Enjoy the rest of the show, and don't forget to go and see the CSA Innovation Showcase, where you might find some solutions. Thank you. There is a roving mic if we have any questions. No questions? Great, job done.